All right. Hi, everyone. Hello, this is Shannon Port, and I welcome you to the Goddess Report. I'm coming in live on November 6th, 2020. And so just going to give it a second. I haven't been going live lately. It looks like I just got a notification. I have been told by a lot of people that they have not been receiving any notification for this channel, whether we're going live or even for new videos. And so if you're subscribed, make sure to check your notifications, make sure you've hit the bell, and just make sure to check back every week because there's going to be more frequent videos, and I won't want you to miss out if you're interested. And so, all right, well, we'll see if anyone makes it into the live stream. So we are here for the Goddess Report, and this is the Art of the Feminine podcast where we're working in this specific energy to really bring in a voice on the planet that's very needed at this time. And so if you're familiar with this work, you know where we're coming from. It's a synthesis of wisdom. I work with archetypal wisdom and with alchemy, and really, really touching into the deepest part of the heart, the global heart, and the heart of the goddess, and the wisdom of the divine feminine. And so this is a very, very big time on this planet. And if anyone comes into the chat, please let me know you're here. There's nobody showing up. And so I'm not sure if the notifications are going out, but I'll check down periodically. This is a really big time in our world. And as I'm coming to you from the United States, and this is a really big week for us. There's a lot of energy moving. And so my work today is going to be to look at how we can access our power. And then I see someone, nice to see you, how we can access our power, face our shadow, and have what I'm calling vision in the fog. So yes, nice to see people coming on. This is wonderful. So I want to remind you, and then I'll go a little deeper in just a moment. Make sure to find me on Instagram at Art of the Feminine. I had planned to start something on Instagram. It's under Shannon Port, Art of the Feminine, last week. And because the energies are so intense right now, I've been holding space for something else right now that's been taking all of my focus and my time, but I'm still planning to do that. So you can also join us at Art of the Feminine on Facebook. All right, so this is what we are here to talk about. We are entering into a new cycle. 2020 has been quite a year, but even so, we're at a crossroads, and we're entering into a new archetype, a new energetic cycle. And so we're going to talk about that cycle and why this is happening. It's going to be really important to understand your projections, to understand why reality mirrors back to you the picture that you receive. We are all running a unique and individual program that runs through our own filter. And so depending upon our traumas, depending upon our core wounds, the nucleus, what we carry, we're running the energy from both below and above through our own wound to see the world. And politics is oftentimes a projection of that wound. And in fact, I heard recently someone was talking about how politics is a projection of our parental wound and our familial wounds. And so when you really take a moment with that and look at it, you can see why we're so divided. Some carry mother wounds, some carry father wounds, and what makes us feel safe and able to be in our power, it will be reflected on what we're drawn to, what resonates with us. Both are right for that group, and each group has a shadow. Each group has its strengths, and each group has a shadow. Currently, we are in a time where just to look at what's going on right now, and then we'll look at the archetypal energy that's governing the whole show, the whole theater that's happening. Currently, there are two paths ahead of us. I'm shown through the Goddess Report that either way, we're going to have to face a shadow. One is more protective of a certain energy, and the other is more protective of another energy. Both will have consequences. One is a little bit more about sovereignty and holding on to an energy that would allow for a connection with our highest creative potential. Another one is seeking that um, through the surrender of certain sovereignty and to regenerate it through another channel. Both have a shadow, and regardless of what we see, which paradigm we go forward with, we'll be facing a greater shadow, a greater collective shadow. I know that might sound a little uncertain, but I'm shown that that's all I can really speak to right now, because everything is so intense. This is going to be more about looking inward to create the vision in the fog right now. And so I'm going to be looking down, and if anyone has any questions, I'm not going to stay on long today, but this is more of a free-flowing conversation. I really look forward to having a back and forth with you in the next few weeks. The reason why this is a new cycle, we have a really powerful Scorpio New Moon coming up on November 15th. And so this is November 2020. Mercury has been retrograde. Mercury stationed direct on November 3rd. And so there was a clamp down. There was a grindy aspect of Mercury jolting, squaring off with Saturn, and a block and a constriction, a contraction of information and of data. And so as Mercury starts to go direct now, and Mercury is also going to eventually oppose Uranus in Taurus, which is going to be an explosion of information that starts to come through. And with Mercury then moving through the sign of Scorpio in the next month, for the remainder of the month, Mercury in Scorpio digs deep. It reveals what is hidden. It reveals what's in the underbelly, and we're going to see it can be used two different ways. One of the ways it can be used is to dominate, to be domineering, and to control information, but in its light, in its truth, and in its power. It will work for the archetype of Scorpio to reveal the shadow and to shine the light of truth. Through a deep introspection, Mercury in Scorpio is the deepest, most profound use of the mind power when it's done right. So we're going to see a lot of things being revealed in the next month. And in the next 2 months, we had a really, really powerful full supermoon in Taurus. And that was the last goddess report that we did. We talked about those energies. That happened on Halloween, on October 31st, and kind of set the stage for what we're seeing right now. We also, starting this new cycle, will be Mars stationing direct on Friday the 13th. Now I'm going to tie the archetypal of wisdom of the goddess together with this. Mars will be stationing direct on Friday the 13th at 15 degrees Aries. Mars has been retrograde, and this has been a real contraction of energy. And we even saw things begin to slow down with some of the things happening in terms of the expression of the hidden anger. If things started to slow down, and things will probably start to amp up again once that happens. Friday the 13th. 13 is the number of Scorpio. And so the sun will be in Scorpio for this Friday the 13th. And the numbers reflect to us what's happening in the archetypal mirror and what's happening inside. So we're going to talk a little bit about how we can use the energy of 13. 13 is regeneration at the time of the Scorpio new moon on November 15th. So Uranus is also in the sign Taurus and will be opposite Mercury in Scorpio. Uranus is ruled by the number 4. When you add the numbers of 13 together, 1 plus 3, you get 4. There is a correspondence between the energy, the deep, deep sexual energy and power of Scorpio, and the fact that we have Uranus transiting the sign of Taurus, which is directly affecting our Earth. So at this time, when Mars starts to go direct, when Mercury starts to begin to move through Scorpio, there's going to be a big speed up of what's happening. We're going to enter the new cycle, and things are going to start to catch some momentum in a new way. Right now, it feels kind of grindy. It feels like everything's stopped. There's a contraction. There's people are feeling like this, and the inner angst. Things are going to start to move. And so that's what we're going to talk about here. We're going to talk about how we can use the energy going forward. This is about cultivating vision in the fog. Scorpio represents the underworld. It represents Hades and the hell realms. So Pluto is in the sign Capricorn right now, and Pluto will be sextile to the Scorpio new moon on November 15th. Pluto is the ruler of the Scorpio new moon because Pluto is power and it rules Scorpio. And so when we go inside and we face our own shadow, not the projection of our shadow, and really, really decide to take that on and see the truth from within, we gain access to a whole new library of wisdom. We hear a lot about the shadow these days, but this is going to be more important than ever. Because if we're projecting our fear onto the outer world, we will get lost on the wheel. We'll get lost in it. And we'll talk about we're going to continue to talk about what's really going on. But right now, I want to set the tone right now for really learning how to look inward and really learning how to gather up your power, use the power of the goddess to look inward and take a real look at how you run your energy. What are your fears? What are your wounds? The last and the greatest wound will be revealed last. That's the greatest demon that we each carry will come up and shine and look us right in the face. It will be the very bottom of the barrel for each one of us. So although we oftentimes think we know our shadow, it's much more easy to see it projected onto someone else. And that we see that happening in the world. When we fear and we give our power to the outer world, we lose touch with the great, great power that comes from knowing how we project what we see. And so right now, shadows are at an all-time high individually. We could talk about the collective shadow, and that's obvious. But the thing is that more and more people are getting faced with now their deepest shadow, and it's going to take a while before people realize that it's coming from within their own being. Each one of us is sovereign. We all have our own well within us. And I'm seeing it more and more that people are, it's like a possession. We get possessed by that shadow, and that shadow takes us and it just has its way with us. And so what happens? Nice to see you from Munich. So nice to see you. Oh, yay. Oh, nice to see you too. I am Empress. Very nice to see you. Let's see. To forfeit your own light in favor of outer world. Yes, exactly. Oh, it's so great to see you. And absolutely. I know because of the depth that I engage in this work, the deeper you engage, the deeper you have a commitment to looking. And so as I'm doing my own alchemy on deeper and deeper layers, I'm absolutely floored and blown away with what I'm seeing and the realizations. And every one of us is meant to have this realization. This is the cycle. We're entering one of the final stages of this, of the awakening that's happening. And there's a temptation and a seduction of this false light matrix. It's the personality matrix is what we're seeing on the outer. Now, this is not to take away from anyone's resonance with any of the voices that are out there, because every voice has something good in it, and every voice believes that it's offering the truth. I'm just going to take a moment and see if there's anything specific that I meant to focus on as far as that goes right now. I'm just meant to say that there's a lot of deception, unfortunately. Things that, when we don't know our own shadow, we can easily be deceived. This isn't even to point the finger at anyone on the outside, because we're all just mirroring with each other. And if we really want the truth, we have to be the truth. We have to be the truth. And eventually, the platform for all of the healing is forgiveness. Forgiveness opens the gates of the goddess. When we forgive, it doesn't mean that we are in denial about what's happening, but we're really forgiving our own self for being for the block we put over our own power. I'm going to take a moment, look down, see if anyone wants to have a conversation about anything, and then I will go into the archetypes of Scorpio a little bit deeper and see how we can claim our power, how we can do our underworld work. And Pluto and Jupiter together will be sextiling the Scorpio new moon. Even at the time when Mars stations direct, this is positive energy. This is positive for those who catch it. In the zodiac can be a very extremely negative influence on our psyche. It's really the clampdown of the archontic force. But when we catch the portal through, we begin to access it through our own inner galactic core. Speaking of, I mentioned last time I'm doing intergalactic core code sessions, and so I started those. I'll talk more about that at the end, but I wanted to remember to say that. We access our true core, our truth, and when we get there, we have nothing but love, and it's like having a secret, and Scorpio rules secrets. It's like having a secret. And so I'll stop right there. All right, I'm going to take a peek down. Does anyone have anything they want to talk about in the next couple minutes? Or anything you want to bring? How is everyone? I'm curious how everyone's doing. We don't need to get into details of what's going on. There's going to be a movement of information, and there's going to be some shockers. Once Mars goes direct, and Mars is going to go direct, and Mars is going to square all of the archetypes that are happening in Capricorn. So we really are in for a huge time on this planet. It's most likely going to get a little rough. And so, but really on the inner, it really doesn't have to, it's this, when the outer world is most chaotic, there is a portal to do the deepest alchemy ever. The deepest alchemy ever. And so I'll wait just a moment, see if anyone has anything they want to bring in or mention. Brianne, is there? Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Is there any significance to our dreams at this time? I'm so happy you brought that in. This is a time to be really vigilant in your dream time. You're going to face your shadow in your dreams, and you'll also face your light, but right now, and you'll also face the dark force. So sometimes when we're getting ready to break through, there'll be an all-out attack in dream time. And I've experienced two really big ones in the past month, and I'm quite familiar with the energy. I can read the signature of it, and I know exactly what it is when it comes. And it doesn't really jolt me that much anymore, but they get more and more intense. The closer you get to the light, the darker the force gets. And so, yes, yeah. Oh, good point. I'm going to talk about that. That's really powerful. Think of your dream time as a time of initiation. When you go in, pray before you go to sleep. Bless yourself before you go to sleep. Connect with the light before you go to sleep. Now, the inner shadow is our friend as well, and we'll be talking more about that. There's a gift in Scorpio, and there's a gift in our shadow, but connect with the solar light before you go in, because we're fishing in the underworld for the solar light, because it's not until we reclaim that solar light, and I do a lot of work around the solar feminine, that we're able to balance the forces of light and dark. We have to go in and retrieve our own power. And so a lot of us are being initiated in dream time right now. Pay close attention. I've even dreamed about the person who's in charge right now in the US and who has come to me. 4 times in the past and 1 time recently, very, very seriously, and it's just mind-blowing. We're communicating with each other at this time, so that's saying a lot, but value it. Write down what you're dreaming and know that there's all kinds of games that happen there, but there's also truth that shows up. And so, when we bless ourselves and go in, you just know when you start to face anything that comes at you, that and there can be some pretty, intense things that come, you'll know you're just gonna go through to a higher level. It's like you're in a video game and you keep going to the next level. It's kind of funny, but it is. Okay. So it is. It's like a video game. It's the matrix. I say that oftentimes. We're in this AI matrix. And so our dream time is played that way. And it's in fact, I want to make a video game. I've been actually my son used to want to do that. And we used to talk a lot about it, but this is about the goddess, reclaiming the reclamation of the goddess within. And so when you have that, it doesn't mean you're done. In fact, the mistake to make would be to touch her and then fall again and use her in the way that is the distortion. It's really important right now with all the shadows coming in. I'm going to say this and then I'm going to go back to what I'm seeing there. And it's so great to see people coming on. So if you touch her power and we misuse it, and this isn't to promote fear, we have to take some steps back. We all do it because we also have to get confident to make a choice. And so sometimes the more and more light and power we're carrying, the greater work we're doing on the planet, we get presented with a choice. Nobody will help us make that decision. We have to call it. We have to use the sword and call it. We're allowed to call it wrong, and it doesn't mean we're finished. But when we call it wrong, there's an inner sanctum that opens up where we get to go and learn from it and reintegrate and come back out with new understanding and depth and wait for the next initiation to come. And so there's that. And the other thing that I meant to say, this is really big. Be as good as you can right now with other people. Respect others and really be clear about how we use our power, our creative power, and our energy, what we project towards people in the subconscious, what we take in a way that's not in integrity. We're a culture, we're moving from being takers to being in alignment with reciprocity, knowing how to give and receive, and how to ascend through that process. And that's why relationships are so important. They really are a divine alchemy for understanding love. And it's not easy. The deeper we go into it, if you think that you're being sabotaged because things are going wrong, oftentimes it's because you've stepped into your own shadow and you're learning about it. You're learning how to transmute it. And so it can seem really hard until you get through to the next level, And then it's such a blessing. It's such a blessing. Okay, I'm going to look at some of the questions and see. All right. Okay, sleep feels exhausting. I'll start with that. Absolutely. It can feel exhausting because of initiations that are really shaking you, or it can feel exhausting because you're going in and you're handing over your energy to a lower force that's using it, that's usurping it. So you have to discern what it is. If that's the case, all you have to do is learn how to protect your sleep and go in, because it is important that we get some real sleep. And I'm glad you mentioned that, I am Empress, because I'm more than ever, before I go to bed, I'm an absolute divine alignment. And when I wake up in the morning, before I even embrace the world or look at the world, go into the core of truth and let it work on me so that when I go out, I know what that vibration is. I can connect back to it. It's the word. And before I go into sleep, I remember that vibration. So when I'm going through the labyrinth of the underworld, I know what that vibration is and I can call it forward in the light. I could tell you about some really, I think I've mentioned before, but really powerful initiations I've had. Okay, I'm going to check through these. How can we direct current energy into good fruition in business rather than being trapped into greed race? Huge. This is so big because right now, and I'll be talking more about this with social media, with entrepreneurship, with the feminine just being consumed with that. There's a lot of things that are happening that are being used by the darker energies, massive. And it's really easy to fall into that trap. This isn't about being so pure that you can't move, because there we have, like I said, when you're faced with a choice, we have to call it. The quicker we get at, okay, I have this or this, I'm going to choose this, we gain more confidence so that even when we fall, we get right back up. When we're in that state of limbo, and I know I was there recently, and it's not a good place because the dark forces have their way with you when you really can't decide. You really can't decide. There's a time for that, but there's a time when we have to step up with our sword and do it. Draw on what we have and trust, have courage and make the call. If we fail, we'll learn quicker and get back on. But the thing is, in like business and using it in a divine way, be humble. If you feel that thing where you feel like you're kind of in that zone where you're takey, meaning where you're like sneaking around, or it's like a little off. If it's off, you do so much better to check yourself at this point in time. The higher you go, the harder you can fall. And so when you feel, learn to, this is it. This is the answer. It's coming through really clear now. Learn to recognize your signature for when you're off. When that shadow's coming in and it's that snake rising up and it's tempting you, once you know it, if you can look it in the face and say, no, thank you, take a moment, connect to truth, honor yourself and your own power. It's never about compromising that, but you can always say, what would I want if I was my client? What would I want? What would I want if I was in the other person's position and I had the intelligence and wisdom I have? What would I want for myself? You can always know. And so it's a balance between service and giving and being generous, but also understanding our own power. And both are really important. That's the scales. So, okay, how can we direct our current energy? Let me know if that's helpful. And you can come back in the comments when they're on after the live stream if you'd like, and I'll take a look. How can we direct? Oh, right. Yeah, greed is big right now. And greed is disguised. There's an ancient Atlantean myth. I want to say, I was actually shown to say this for those who have ears to hear. It was known at the end of that cycle in the fall that at the end of this cycle, there would be an energy that came in that said it was going to offer us the world, that said it would make things easy, that said it would be fair, and that would just make everything easy. We would have to, negotiate a little bit and maybe hand over a few things, but what we were getting in return would be so much greater. In this prophecy, it doesn't necessarily go well for us. So that's the goddess initiation. Understand the law of cause and effect, the law of give and receive, the law of inner power and truth. This wisdom isn't for everybody, but if you can really hear it, know it. Vision in the fog. Vision in the fog is our power of Pluto in the underworld. Things are going to get really underworldy. And so vision is the truth of the Divine Mother. It doesn't mean we have to go out swinging at everything we think is wrong, but we will each be instructed on what we're meant to be doing while we're here. All right. Yeah. Interesting, found lately, if I forgot centering, protection, and prayer, have some strange, weird dreams, but more positive when I do this past week. Yeah, more than ever, you're going to notice if you're called in this work, you're going to notice when you haven't taken that time, you'll see it. And it gets really easy because you're like, "Oh, yeah," and then you go right back in. I Am in the 7 Directions is a good start, it's a good portal in, but absolutely, it's your power, and it's also your self-reflection, and it's also where we meet our shadow, and where we're no longer afraid of it, and where we heal. It's where we heal. Scorpio is healing, by the way. It's spiritual healing, and it's revealing the truth, and it's power, and it's the underworld, and it's even more vision. Ah, thanks for the emojis. Oh, okay. Hi, Shannon. Oh, yeah. I've heard many, many, many people who have been with me for a long time who just don't get notified. Make sure to subscribe if you've enjoyed the content. Also, please make sure to give it a thumbs up. It's not so easy right now on the platform, so it's very, very much appreciated. And check back every week if you want to get in on what we're talking about. Dreams have been intense. Yes, they have. They've been intense. Maybe I'll see if I can share a dream. Vision in the fog. Fog now burning off for the day here. Synchronicity. Yeah. Um, some of the fog will burn off. It burns off. We renew every day. Every day is a new cycle. Every day the sun comes up and it goes down. Every day is a cycle. Um, let me just see. There's a lot of Scorpio also has to do with the underworld and possession. And so when we're not doing those things we're talking about, it's really easy to be overtaken. And if we haven't looked at our own emotional body and our wounds, entity possession, and this isn't to talk so woo-woo and far out, but it's pretty obvious what that means. Thought form possession, lower wound possession, where we're just ravaged by our own lower forces. We know when that happens because it feels like fire. That's Scorpio. That's the hell realms of the underworld. It's our own being ravaged by our own inability to see. And that's when all those thought forms attach to us and we become a vehicle for that. This is sad to say, there's a lot of goodness coming through. There's goodness and that possession coming through. So this is what I've been seeing, and I'm thinking about how to present this in a way that is able to be received. But I'll say this much today: sovereignty of your own inner material and emotions. Do not let anyone tell you what to think, how you need to speak, how you need to be according to someone else's plan. We each access our own and find what we are mirroring with, and we do it in our own time. Now, sometimes karmically something comes and just takes you. We have no choice. You have to surrender. But meaning when the uninitiated or the unenlightened are trying to tell those who are genuinely on the path how to think, can't be done. Not when you're truly in. Well, first of all, the light within you will protect and will make sure you have the space to heal. One of the things that's being taken right now through the things that are happening and the momentum is building for this is that. So claim it now while it's still available, because that mind energy is very much being brought in and used. Heavy Mars energy. Yeah, well, Mars is going to go direct. So let me just ask if there's anything else to say around that. When in doubt, love somebody. Don't ever go into fear. When you can't get it through your own inner vehicle, find someone to love and just be kind to somebody. Just be kind and forgive somebody else so that you can forgive yourself, because forgiveness lets us in. That's why the high teachings of the avatars were first forgive and then do the work. Forgive to open the gates and then go in and work. Because until you've forgiven everybody, I mean, it's like a global forgiving. It's like before I go to sleep, I let everything go. Anything you gripe you have, let it go so that you can go in. Otherwise, you lock yourself out. All right, I'm going to start to close out. takey takey. So yes, yes, give what you want to receive. Oh, I love it. Beautiful, Elena. Takey takey. I know, I don't often talk like that, but but literally, literally. Okay, let me see if there's anything else to say. Um, this is our alchemy. This is a great time. If this is a thing, and I talked about the right and left, and I might bring this into close. So the right and left. In fact, I have a client in 2 minutes. Oh my God! So I'm going to close this out. The what we're seeing on the scales right now, each one has a gift. One has gone way too far with exploiting a certain kind of energy that is just bombarding our consciousness through the things we watch, listen to, take in on all the platforms. It's gone too far. It's gone from the fringes into the mainstream. And so people are confused and like fighting for their own, like, what is it anymore? What is balance? What does it even look like anymore? The other side is a little bit more addicted to power and doesn't want to let go or doesn't want to be flexible. In some ways, it can be good because it's trying to hold on to something right now. But at the same time, there's a shadow there that has to be cleared, and it will be. And so follow what feels good in your heart. Try not to get into it with other people. If you want to do the alchemy, it's a personal inside job. Go into your own inner nucleus, and from there, take care of business. I will see you soon. The Scorpio New Moon is on November 15th. So 13, 14, that's going to be a Sunday here. We have the Pluto Jupiter conjunction coming. I said that. The new moon will be positive. We'll meet again next Friday before that happens. A lot of positive energy there for Scorpio. Time to use Scorpio in a good way. And so I think that's all I'm going to say today. Really nice to see everybody. Nice to see you, Deanna and Susan and Dale. Thank you guys so much. Sending huge blessings. Let's do I am to close out. Taking a deep breath in. And again, this is a quick way to tune in when you wake up and before you go to bed. I am before me. I am behind me. I am at my left. I am at my right. I am above me. For Scorpio, I am below me. I am unto me. And take a deep breath in. Hold it. Focus on an intention. Set one right now. You can bring it forward into the Scorpio New Moon as you exhale it all out. We'll activate the divine, the spiritual, and the physical plane with I am, I know, I am. I am, I am. I know I am. Here's to entering the gates of the goddess. And so again, if you're interested, make sure to like the video if you enjoyed the content. I really appreciate it. Subscribe. I will come back and put a link if you're interested in doing an archetypal session. It's more like a mini workshop. It's either an hour or 90 minutes, and I'll come back and put a link. It's a galactic core code session, and it's really, really, I did them all week last week and had a lot of fun. So that being said, I'll see you next time, next Friday, and have a beautiful week. All right.